Welcome to Growing Forward. I'm Libby Spellman, and today I'm joined by Kevin Campos, Sales Representative in Valent USA Sustainable Solutions Business Unit. Kevin works closely with growers to bring sustainable technologies into real world operations, giving him a valuable perspective on the practices shaping the future of agriculture. Hi, Kevin. How's it going?
Good, good. How's it going with you?
It's good. Well, we talked about it a little bit before we went online, but we're facing some weather right now. We've got a snowstorm happening right now here in North Texas. So school has been canceled this week.
That always makes it fun.
Yeah. And speaking of, tell everyone where you're located.
I am in Chico, California, so more northern California.
And how's the weather there?
Right now it is sunny and I think 60 degrees, so I don't mean to rub that in, but yeah, not exactly relating to the ice storm happening in most of the country.
Yes, you guys are spoiled, that's for sure. So, Kevin, let's start at the beginning. So, tell everyone your story and what first sparked your interest in agriculture.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Chico. Went to high school here, played sports, played baseball. My family, my dad's side had a little bit of a farm in Woodland, California, which is just outside of Sacramento. Nothing big. It's 20 acres, and they grew a couple different things on it. So I wouldn't say I was growing up all around agriculture. I had friends that were farmers and all that, but in high school, my dad had some friends that were PCAs, and he kind of came to me and thought, "Hey, have you ever thought doing this? You like doing a lot of outdoor things. This might be a cool career path for you." And so I kind of looked into it and thought, "Man, that looks like fun," and kind of catered my college path to that, and yeah, went ahead with the PCA route and got me to where I'm at now.
Tell everyone what your job is at Valent USA and maybe explain a little bit about what your day to day looks like.
Yeah, so my job with the SSBU is I'm a sustainable solution sales rep for Northern California. And in a long-winded answer, it's I'm a grower rep with an emphasis on our sustainable portfolio. So my main goal is to go meet with growers in my territory and find out what their needs are, kind of look at our portfolio with them, come up with a plan with them of where we have a fit, both in the sustainable and we talk about the regular conventional products as well, because we want them to succeed in all facets of farming. So we talk about a little bit of everything, and so we'll go over everything there, and the meeting can consist of an hour at their office. We might catch a quick lunch and talk about things there, or we might actually just meet in the field. A lot of growers I set up demo trials with, so we can get some products they may not have looked at before in their hands, and we can kind of get some results on first hand. A lot of growers like to see things. They see quick sheets, they see data on a computer, and it all looks great, but until they get to actually play with it, a lot of it's just hearsay, and they like to be kind of the first-hand experience. So I really enjoy that part of it, being able to work with the grower directly and coming up with solutions for them.
What is your favorite part of your job here at Valent?
Yeah, I think that's a two-parter. I think one part is the team aspect, the team we're working with here at Valent. There's a few of us in California. We have one up in the PNW, and then obviously our whole East Coast team. But having a good team really makes this easy. And then as far as personally in my territory, it's meeting with the growers specifically. I actually have 20 acres of walnuts myself. So to be able to kind of put myself in their shoes and be able to meet with them, when we come up with a plan and see something actually work well, and I have a grower call me and say, "Hey, thanks for all that. That actually really helped whatever problem they were trying to deal with." It does help a lot. It makes the job worth it when you get a call like that and they say, "Thanks for the help. This was really worth the time."
Absolutely. And I think, for any listeners who are listening to Kevin right now, one of the things I want to make sure you're aware of is Kevin's regional crops. So, Kevin, share a little bit about what crops you have in the area that you're at in the nation.
Holy moly. I mean, I've got a lot of them, but the real major crops are so almonds, walnuts, and rice. They're definitely the three biggest crops up here. But then it trickles down. We've got a lot of processing tomatoes. We've got a lot of stone fruit. We have the Delta area down in the Lodi, Stockton. There's a lot of cherries down there, as well as some pears. And then we got a lot of wine grapes as well. A lot of wine grapes in the Lodi area, in the North Coast, Napa, Sonoma, all that. So, yeah, I would say top four are probably the almonds, walnuts, rice, and wine grapes, and then it kind of trickles down from there to all the other field crops.
Kevin, it's got to feel so good to be able to meet with these growers and solve the problems that they're having to make it more efficient and to help them have a better crop and better season. That's got to be a good feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we're in a weird time right now where there are quite a few commodities, especially the larger ones in my territory, that quite frankly they're not where they used to be as far as commodity prices. They're not. The farmers are having a harder time. They're having to try to cut back where they can. And so to be able to kind of meet with farmers and come up with solutions that kind of help them at least mitigate some issues with insects or whatever it may be, it does help a lot to see them succeed and know that you're helping them kind of really maximize their return on investment.
I would bet there's a lot of people listening right now that a lot of the young people or maybe people earlier in their careers that can connect with you. That's my guess. And so can you walk us through how you got from some of those early experiences that you spoke to earlier in our conversation to your role here at Valent?
Yeah, so I mean, I'll just start from college. So I went to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I majored in crop and fruit science. And I knew, like I said, going into college, I kind of knew my path of being a PCA. And at the time, the whole plan was to be a retail PCA, which is what I did right out of college. And I really enjoyed it. And it taught me a lot. And you get to work under some older PCAs that are willing to share their wisdom with you. And a couple years in, I had this opportunity with another chemical company in the mating disruption world. They kind of came and found me and asked if I'd be interested in a role. And I thought, I really like this retail PCA stuff. At the time, I was making an hour drive each way to and from work, so that kind of weighed in on the decision. But I thought, I can always come back to this. I've always been interested in seeing kind of the manufacturing side of things. So I got that job and did that for a few years and really enjoyed it. And then this Valent job came looking, and I took a look at it, and I was really intrigued with the sustainable aspect and the grower aspect. Working with growers, like I said, has always really intrigued me. It's a little bit different than the standard rep role where you meet with the retail PCAs and whatnot. You're really trying to find a little bit more solution focus with the grower. And so I ended up doing that, and I've been with Valent for about 5 years come May, which is hard to believe. And I've learned so much in this role, and it's been a pretty cool experience to get to the point I'm at right now.
That's awesome. And I think that just listening to your talk makes me think about when this topic comes up a lot on this podcast, but just the great people in the industry, how kind people are, and really how relationship oriented agriculture truly is. One of the things that I really love about Valent USA specifically is we truly, at the end of the day, it's not a facade, it's not a strategy. We truly care about the grower. We want them to be successful.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. And it's, when a grower succeeds, you succeed. And so when you have that relationship and you build that trust with them, it goes a long way. And in the long run, it ultimately leads them to wanting to support you in other assets whenever they can. And so it kind of comes full circle at the end of it.
So for our young listeners, maybe they're students in FFA or AFA, manners, what have you, some of those early career folks as well, how would you explain what you do at Valent in simple terms?
I would say in a simple one sentence answer, I provide solutions to growers and emphasize the sustainable portfolio. And that might be very simple, but basically I meet simply with growers and some independent PCAs, but primarily growers, and I give them any kind of solution that Valent may have, or like I said previously, it might be another product, but it's basically make these growers succeed. And hopefully that's with a Valent product, but if it's not for that specific reason, usually it'll come around to something related to our products at some point.
And I know this is a hot topic, and I'm going to ask it because I have to, knowing that you're someone who works in the sustainable solutions business unit and really concentrates on that part of our portfolio. How would you define or describe sustainable ag?
Yeah, I mean, sustainable is a big word right now. Sustainable and regenerative, those are kind of the two big buzzwords that go around. And I would say for sustainable, it's funny. I think a lot of growers practice sustainability without knowing it. I don't know too many growers that are out there doing something just because they want to, or just because that's how it's always been. A lot of these growers in today's world, like I said, with commodity prices getting lower and the margins getting thinner, they're doing whatever the necessities are. And to me, that speaks to sustainability. You're not putting extra work on the field. You're not putting extra passes, extra fuel burn. Spraying. You're not just spraying to spray. A lot of these growers, they try to pick some less harsh chemistries. They want to save their beneficial insects out there that do a lot of the dirty work for them. So sustainability to me is really just doing what needs to be done without the overkill, while also keeping in mind everything else that's in your field: the soil, microorganisms, the beneficial insects, everything else that might use the field, critters and stuff. You just kind of want to keep them all in mind, and you need to take care of problems that are there, but you kind of want to be mindful of everything that's in your surroundings in that farming aspect. And that's the thing with sustainability, is that it has so many variabilities and so many different definitions that at one field, a sustainable practice on one field might not truly be sustainable on another, depending on soil type and what microorganisms are in there and what's being grown out there. So there's just so many facets of sustainability.
That is such a good answer. And I think, like you said, it's such a hot topic. It's a buzzword, but that's really, truly what it all comes down to. And we've talked about it a lot in this conversation, but it also, in my opinion, and as you're talking, what's coming to mind is it's also about just caring. You, Kevin, want to help these growers succeed today, but for generations to come. You want to keep their operations thriving and successful. Kevin, is there a grower project or maybe a success story why you worked at Valent that stands out to you? Something you're particularly proud of?
Oh yeah, for sure. This year, actually, specifically, we got a special local needs label for our product, the seed in cherries. And we've been meeting with cherry packers and talking with them about it. And to see how excited they are about this product now being registered and able to use on these cherries. There's a lot of cherries that have set really heavy and they don't produce a very big cherry, and that's really where the market's at, is having big cherries. So it's kind of a story in progress, a project in progress per se, because this is kind of the first real year it's been rolled out. We've been doing trials, but it's been pretty cool to kind of see it unfold and really get the stories from these guys and how important this product is going to be for them. You don't really think about it on this side sometimes. You think, it's going to be cool that they have another tool in the toolbox, but when you get to hear from them just how much they struggle with thinning cherries and how big of an issue it can be, and their genuine excitement for having a product like this on the market, it's pretty cool to see, and it's cool to be a part of it. I know Valent's kind of one of the leaders in the PGR world, and I'd shout out Joseph and Pollyanna. They do a great job doing trials and being super open-minded in the PGR PDM world of trying new things. Chris and I come to them with ideas, and they always are open-minded. So to see this kind of all come together and kind of coming out this season is pretty cool.
That is very neat. I mean, how cool that you get the front row seat to that as well. And so for our listeners, what explain what PDM stands for and what they do.
Y- Yeah, I know. I sorry, I should have explained that. Product Development Managers, PDM. We have a lot of acronyms here at Valent,
We
and
do. I'm
yeah,
still learning them every day.
oh, I know, and it feels like a new one comes out every day.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So what Polly and Joseph do is they are the PGA. I call them the PGR wizards. So they are the ones that look at all PGRs on all crops. So that would be retain, a seed, pro-jib, all those kind of things, and they come up with any kind of new use patterns or any new data. That's where they thrive, and they'll work with our FMD, which is our field market development team. So they're kind of our on the ground researchers, and not that Polly and Joseph don't do their own trials, but they do a lot with FMD and working and finding trial spots and doing these trials and getting our feedback. Like I said earlier, they like to hear from us of what we think would really help these growers. So and if there's any new PGRs that come out, they're the ones that are kind of first to look at it and first to see if it's got to fit anywhere. So yeah, they're kind of the PGR wizards, and that's what they do. And I've been real thankful with how close they work with us in the field, and they put a lot of miles on their pickups. So I know us in the field really appreciate everything that they do for us.
Absolutely. And I think, for anyone listening, Valent USA, we, tell people this all the time, but we have some very intelligent, smart people at this company. And the really cool thing is that we all collaborate together. So as Kevin's discussing, it's a great example of how that really works to make sure that we keep our portfolio top of line.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel fortunate to be able to work with those folks. Many of them, at minimum, have a master's, but most of them have a PhD. So to have the ability to have them at your disposal, and I'll shout out Allison as well. She's our insects PDM, and Pat Clay, our herbicide PDM. But they're all so very easy to rely on and get a hold of if they have a million things going on, between new things coming in the pipeline, molecules, whatever it may be, as well as current existing projects, that it just makes it really nice when you're in the field and you can make a simple phone call to them about an idea or a question, and generally they answer your call or they get right back to you. And I know that's not the case in some spots. So to have that at our disposal, I almost consider it like a cheat code for us in the field. It really gives us some leverage and an upper hand in getting things out there in a timely manner.
Okay, so Kevin, sustainability is so diverse from one operation to the next, from one grower's field to the other. So how does the SSBU team, how do you work with growers to make sure that we're catering our solutions to their needs?
Yeah, it goes back to what I said before with relationships. I mean, you get close with these guys, you meet with them on a regular basis, you figure out what their needs are, and it's almost like a team effort. The growers really doing the heavy lifting, but you're there to support them in every way you can. And over time, you kind of build a relationship with them and know their fields. You walk their fields when you do trials with them. You kind of get an idea of what they're doing on a year-to-year basis. Things get tweaked every year with crops and stuff, but for the most part, a lot of it stays pretty similar. And so it's really just that relationship you have with the grower, and how that you can cater that to really give them the best advice that you can.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I think is so unique about Valent, is that for us, at least internally, I can speak to this, it's not an account, it's a name. And what I mean by that is
Yes.
we're actually we care about that grower. We know them by name. And like you said, you're walking the fields with them. You understand the problems that they're trying to conquer and solve, and you care about it. It's not just like you said, it's not just about, hey, let me sell this product. It's more about, let me help them have a successful operation because I care.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, we have a few products specifically that are real timing based. It's if you put them on at the wrong time, you're just not going to get a lot out of. So it's like the relationship thing I said, to be able to go out there in their fields, and I might go to a grower's field 4 days in a row just to make sure that they put certain product on at the right time, especially PGRs. They're real sensitive to timing on certain aspects and certain crops. So to be able to be out there with them multiple times a week or whatever it may be, it really speaks volumes to helping them succeed in success in the long run.
So you are one of these people that has really a front row seat to innovations, especially within our sustainable solutions portfolio. So where do you see agriculture heading in the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Like I said earlier, with the commodity prices, there are certain things that growers are trying to figure out right now. I think in the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to have some growers going to the less harsh chemistries. There's regulations coming down the pipeline in certain areas that are trying to get rid of some more stringent rules on the harsher pesticides, and especially when you're in closer to town, things like that. When you're closer to houses, they're really trying to limit what people have. So they're kind of looking at alternatives that are less harsh material. So yeah, I mean, tech's also a big one. There's a lot of tech going around, a lot of precision agriculture. I know there's some sprayers out there now that are designed to be, quote unquote green seeking, where they turn on and off every time they see the tree, so that you're not spraying in between trees and you're really maximizing that material. So yeah, I mean, I know in our side of things, we've got some innovation coming down the pipeline with products, but I think as a whole, it's just really, I think precision is the best word to use it. It's just how to use what tools you have, what tools may be coming out in the next 5 to 10 years, to really be more precise with your application of whatever it may be. Even if it's tilling the ground or doing field work, being precise and not wasting any passes and doing exactly what's required is going to be kind of the future. And it's cool to be a part of it. I mean, I like to think I'm pretty cool with the tech world.
You spoke to, there's a lot of new innovations coming down the pipeline, some very new and kind of more in an exploratory stage, others more advanced. I wonder, from your perspective, for growers, what is one of the obstacles you're seeing with adoption, with getting users to utilize these new tools?
Oh man, I think there's a couple things. Some of them are stuck in their ways, and that's fine. If they've built the empire, they can decide how they want to do it. So they have a harder time trying out new things because it's scary to them. And what if it doesn't work? And hand in hand with that is a lot of these things can be a little more spendy at times, and it's harder to see the return on investment right away. So a couple of those factors, I think those are the two hardest. I mean, I would like to use a TV as an example of tech. Things come out and they're expensive because it's new to the market, and it's exciting and people want to try it. So it's kind of the same thing. You got these cool things coming down the pipeline. Guys get a little nervous to try it. And then other things come out, and then that thing comes a little bit more palatable for growers. So I think the biggest hurdle is, like I said, adoption when you're used to the standard practices, and cost. I think in time it will definitely become a little easier.
So we've talked a lot about sustainability in agriculture. How do you see that affecting the job market or career opportunities in the future?
I think if anything, more opportunities. Yeah, you're going to have other companies coming out with these sustainable products, sustainable values. I think there's just going to be more areas for younger generations to kind of get into and build that area sustainable. I mean, there's so many different facets. Sustainable is obviously not just one thing. So as it becomes more and more of a adopted practice of a lot of these growers, you're going to have more room in the market for certain things. So I think in the long run it'll help the job market. I think there'll be more opportunities out there. Talking tech, especially, you've got a lot of these companies coming out with robotics and auto steer and stuff like that, and tractors, and that's just a whole nother facet that is there for the taking. It's only getting better. But yeah, I think in the long run, you're going to have more opportunity for people to be getting into this, and that should excite people. I know sustainability and regenerative, for a lot of people, it's just, it's another buzzword, but in the long run, it opens up opportunity, because eventually people are going to adopt it, and that creates new opportunities in different facets and different parts of the farming operation as well. It goes all the way from before the crop is planted all the way into the processor. I know, going to the Ammon conference every year, a lot of tech companies are there with their fancy automation systems with packing and sorting and all that. And so it's really from A to Z, you're gonna have a lot more ability.
And so, okay, we have a lot of young listeners, and one of the purposes of this podcast is to really support the future of ag however we can. So whether those young listeners are students, college grads, early career folks, those that are listening and their ears are perking up right now, hearing you say that there's going to be more opportunity, especially in sustainable ag, what advice would you give someone right now that's considering it?
I would just say don't close any doors before you open them. And I know that kind of sounds cliche, but there's so many opportunities out there, and I think there's a big change in the way people are thinking. Or at least the way kind of my parents' generation was you get to a job and that's your job. You're going to do that for the rest of your life as long as there's nothing crazy going on. Well, that's just not the case anymore. If there's something that you're just not totally in love with, don't be afraid to branch out and try something new. I mean, there's so many different opportunities out there, especially if you're just coming out of college. I would say definitely just get experience. Go do something that maybe you maybe like, maybe you don't like, and there might be things that you're trying it because it's there, and you think you're going to go into it, do it for a little bit, and you're not going to like it, but it'll get you experience, and you might end up loving it, and it might be the best decision you ever made. So I would just say don't close any doors that you haven't opened yet. I think the more hands-on and in person and really being in the elements or whatever you're doing, the better off you will be in the long run. That was one of the things for me. I don't regret my career path whatsoever. I think the only thing I look back on is, as a retail PCA, if I maybe would have stuck it out another year and a half, just to get a little bit more hands-on experience with different crops and get a little bit more of that older generation mentorship from guys, to just get that base knowledge down. I mean, I was able to figure it out, but probably would have come a little more easy that way. But yeah, I think that's what you have to do. The more hands-on you can be, the better. And don't be afraid to just go get her. And also in that, don't be afraid to ask questions to people that have been around. A lot of folks in the industry love to help the younger generation that have a lot more experience. So I wouldn't be afraid to go ask questions. Don't be afraid to even if you can even go as far to asking, hey, do you think I could hop in your pickup for a day and kind of go see what a day in your life is? I think a lot of people veer away from that because they don't want to inconvenience someone. But a lot of these people, they're in their truck or wherever they might be driving. They might be in there all day by themselves and on the phone, And it might be a nice, pleasant change of pace for them to have one day with someone in the truck with them that they get to kind of feel like they're kind of teaching and giving the knowledge off, and it might turn into something else down the road with a job. So I would say don't be afraid. If you see someone that's doing something you might enjoy, ask them questions, and if you want to go as far as asking if you could kind of spend a day with them to see the day in the life, I'd do that as well.
Great advice. And I think just staying curious because sustainability is truly all about learning. We're all learning each and every day. And the other thing I would just add to that is you may be an expert in ag or crops that are in your area. But I myself followed your advice, Kevin, and I got in the truck with some of our P&W folks, our sales reps there, and I rode along with them, and I saw crops I'd never seen before. There's so much to learn in ag. It's so different from one spot to the other, and I think it's just all about just staying open-minded and continuing to learn.
Oh, I agree. I agree. And it's funny. I feel a little spoiled being in California compared to maybe the Midwest or other parts of the country, because California truly has, I would say, almost every single crop somewhere in the state. There is almost every single crop being grown at some facet, and not every part of the U.S. gets to do that. And to be able to have eyes on so many different crops, whether it's 5 acres of it or 500,000 acres of it, it truly is cool to be able to go see different things. And I'm not saying I'm an expert in all of them, but you get to see a lot more things than if you just put yourself out there and just go look.
For sure. And the other thing to add is just there's so many different paths in ag. And from you could do what I do: communications, technology, sustainability, research, agronomy, lab folk, sales. It goes on and on. HR. It's like any other business. There's so many different paths you can follow. And so, going back to your great advice is just don't close the door before it opens, because it may not be something that you thought you'd do, but once you open the door, you realize, wow, this is a passion, and I really enjoy it.
And there might be, if you're a person that doesn't necessarily want to be in the field but loves agriculture, there's still a bazillion jobs out there that you would still be involved in agriculture without necessarily having to be out in the field. So, and I think they're just as important as the people in the field. So there's no job better than the other, but just don't close the door.
Great advice. I couldn't have said it better. All right, I'm going to ask you to go back a little bit. So, if you could tell your 18-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
Probably the same advice I just gave. Just don't be afraid to try new things. Going into college, just open your mind to different ideas. I know I had some professors that said, "Hey, I think this would be a good opportunity for you. I know these guys up in your area. Would you be interested?" And it worked out for me, but I, at the time, had a one-track mind of this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a retail PCA, and this is what I was going to do. And I said, no, thanks. I know what I want to do. And not to say it didn't work out, obviously, but I do think, well, what if I would have tried that? It would have given me this experience, would have given me that. So it's just, really from day one, even if you're in high school or going into early college, just be open-minded, and if there's somebody suggesting something to you, don't immediately shut it down.
Absolutely. And I think you said this earlier. It's okay if you try something out and it doesn't quite pan out to be everything you thought it was going to be. That's okay. I mean, for example, I think back to when I graduated high school and I was going to college, and I had no clue what I wanted to study. I didn't know. I mean, a lot of kids don't. You're young, you're just trying to figure out what your interests are, what your talents are. So I think it's fine if you have to switch, if you have to make a pivot or change. It's all going to be okay. All right, Kevin, this has been so fun talking to you. I've learned a lot, and I hope our listeners have too. So, we're going to close things out with a little fun round that I like to call rapid fire round. So I'm going to ask you some questions, no pressure. Just say what comes to mind, okay?
Got it.
All right, Kevin. Favorite crop to walk?
I think I would say walnuts just because I farm them myself, so I kind of have an invested interest in them, and so it makes it a little more enticing to go out and walk them, knowing that I'm going to go home and do the same thing at home.
Coffee or energy drink?
Definitely energy drink, not a coffee drinker. Energy drink I even try to avoid, but every now and then in the morning, a Celsius goes a long way.
One thing you wish everyone understood about sustainability?
I think I touched on a little earlier, but it's just that sustainability's already around us. Like there's a lot of growers already using sustainable practices. I wish people would just understand that it's already around. There's just certain assets that maybe be able to be tweaked in certain day-to-day grower operations that just make the sustainability that much more uh, sustainable for the future. If that makes sense.
Favorite part of your job?
Oh, I think it would just be the people. I think being able to meet with new growers and having the relationships with the current growers, it's just so cool. You have so many different personalities. I can't tell you how many different personalities I come across in the grower world of they might grow the same crop, but boy, they are two totally different people, and it's just interesting to kind of see how that changes. And it's a lot of it's geographical too. I cover a pretty big territory for California anyway. I from top to bottom of my territory is 5.5, 6 hours in a car on a highway. So it can be pretty cool to see different geographies and how different people operate.
A piece of advice you always carry with you?
I would probably say just that you never know what someone else is going through. So, if you happen to come up on somebody and they're not themselves, or you're like, man, these people must not really like me, you just kind of take a step back and realize that there might be something going on in their lives that maybe not be going the best. So just try to, I like to say, kill them with kindness and just be there for them. And it really does go a long way in the long run.
Thank you so much for joining us. I loved hearing your perspective on sustainability and your passion for helping growers. And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep growing forward. We'll see you next time.